Hello everybody and welcome back to another scheduled game in the Total Annihilation cast series. Guys, today I will be casting a Loud game. If you remember, Loud is the mod that I have done one cast of before. It is the mod that is designed for PvE. In fact, it is really the only version of Total Annihilation or iteration that I know of that is specifically designed for PvE. So that includes a TA escalation, that includes bar, that includes FAF, and that also includes planetary annihilation. Of course, all those games have capability to play against the AI, but Loud is designed specifically for that. Typically in these other games, it is PvP centered, and the AI is an afterthought or just kind of a nice add-on. I guess in bar they have some pretty neat things like the chicken mode and scavengers, but Loud is designed from the ground up for PvE. It is you versus the computer, and the computer is absolutely devastating, as we will see in this game. Guys, I am so excited to show you what kind of sneaky, devious, unbelievable tricks the AI has up its sleeve this game. But first I want to tell you a little bit about the map before we get into the game. This map is called Seaton's Bane. And I created this map myself with a little bit of help from the FAF map generator. I made this map. All the metal points that you see are mine and the geo points. So this map is designed specifically for this mod, for this game, for Loud, to have a very engaging and fun and difficult experience. And let me explain it a little bit to you how the map is designed to work. Now, these are your 4 starting bases, these kind of plateaus here. Each starting base has 4 metal spots. And then you have in the middle a ring of mass spots and a geo. And then you have 2 pawns on the side. You have a pawn on the left here. It's got 4 metal spots and a geo, and 4 metal spots and a geo. Now in Loud, each mass spot is very valuable because you can upgrade your mass extractors 3 times, so you can have basically T4 mass extractors. So the idea for the player team, you want to hold all 3 sides if you can. If you can hold the left, the middle, and the right, then you're doing pretty well. But if the AI can get even one of these 3 locations, that can be pretty bad for you, or it will be pretty bad for you, because the AI is very good at using its economy efficiently and upgrading efficiently. Now, if the AI gets 2 of these 3 middle points, that's extremely bad, and you may just lose the game. So that's how I designed it. We had never tried it. It was just an idea. So last night, my friends and I decided to get together and play this map for the first time, just as a test. Like, I've never tried it, had no idea how it was going to turn out. Like, I thought it could have been like a horrible idea. But as it turned out, it was hilarious. It worked really well. And I'm excited to show you guys. So what we're watching right here is just an overview of the map. This isn't the actual game. What I'm going to do now is jump into the actual game itself, and we will see. I'm probably going to jump, not from the start because there's not too much going on at the start. We're just going to jump, say, 20 minutes into the game, right as the action is starting to happen, and we will go from there. So guys, I am excited to show you this awesome match between my friends and I, and 2 Loud AI on a pretty high difficulty. And yeah, I will see you there. Welcome everybody. As I said, we would just be jumping right into this game, and we are about 20 minutes in now, and not too much has happened. Now 2 of us, let me introduce the players. We have Spooky Rat here, who will just be referring to as Jackson, the yellow player, who has gone Seraphim. He has taken control of the middle. For the most part, the middle has been claimed by him. We have, and white we have Gumption. He went UEF, and he is taking control of his left pawn here. He has some shipyards, he's got massive tractors in the ocean, and some point defenses, and torpedo launchers as well. So he has done a good job of taking that. And then you have me. I have taken over, of course, these two bases here, and some of the center. I have two of these mass spots here in the center. But as I mentioned just a minute ago when I was talking about the way I designed this map, you really want to hold all 3 points of contention. And the AI has now gotten a foothold on this eastern pond, which is definitely not good for us. And but we do have 2 of the 3 points of the middle points, so that should hopefully allow us to stay in the game. Let's go ahead and look at the AIs. We have 2 AIs here. They are on 1.3 difficulties. In other words, they have a 30% bonus to their build speed and resource generation. We have a Seraphim commander here on the left, and on the right side we have an Aeon commander. The 2 alien races. And at the moment, there is a little bit of a drop here. Orange moving in with a squad of, it looks to be T1 and T2 units. And we will have to see how this drop goes. Now, I will say that as a player, the more fronts you micro, the harder it becomes to defend all these fronts. And the AI, sensing a spot or a moment of weakness in White's defenses here, is going to drop 3 squads, T1 units. And does White have enough to defend this? I don't know. I wasn't watching this at the time. But it does indeed seem that White will have enough to clean up this particular attack, and that will be thwarted. However, Red with another dropship, and I think I have plenty here to defend that as well. Now, it is interesting. There are essentially 3 different playstyles when it comes to defending drops. The AI loves to drop. They use these dropships with brutal efficiency, and they will absolutely murder you. Just with all the drops that they have, I think he sees that this particular mass point is not well defended, so maybe that's what he's going for. But as I mentioned, there's essentially 3 different styles of play when it comes to defending your base. You have players like me that I like to build a lot of units. I don't build a ton of defenses. I mostly rely on my offensive forces to defend my base. It's kind of a more mobile army. You have players like Yellow here that pretty much only build defenses. They don't build any mobile units at all. They just kind of surround all their mass points with defenses to basically cover all their bases, literally. And then you have a player like White that does a little bit of both. He builds some units, but also builds defenses at crucial locations. So those are the 3 different styles. You can go a fully mobile defensive force. You can go fully base defense and no mobile units, or you can go some hybrid of the 2. Looks like Red bringing down some gunships here, and we'll have to see what he wants to do with those. But yeah, wow. White actually building a T3 flak artillery, which is a little surprising. But that will be very good against T2 gunships, and those gunships won't be doing much of anything. But yeah, in the meantime, Orange moving down with this huge squad of units, of hovercraft, and continuing the drops. But yeah, let's go ahead and look at what's going on at these bases here. Orange build, or is this? Yeah, Orange building a quantum gateway, his first quantum gateway. They've taken both these bases as well. And again, they have a firm control of the right side. However, I've got a pretty good control of the middle between yellow and I. We have a pretty good firm hold on the middle. And I am upgrading my commander as well. Now, I can't remember. I think I upgraded my commander for more of an economic capacity. In this mod, you can use your commander either for combat or as a builder. Both are potential options, but the AI has been relentlessly dropping Yellow's base here, so he has lost most of his starting base, and he's having a hard time defending all these drops. And of course, Yellow with this, or I mean Orange with this pressure from the sea as well, with all these hovercraft, that is going to be quite a tall order to defend, especially when your micromanagement skills are already maxed out as Yellows are. This player, who we will just call Jackson, has told me he has trouble microing multiple things at once. And LoL does allow for those kind of players. You don't have to be some kind of StarCraft 2 pro in order to play this mod. You can be as micro efficient, or you can be as a pro as you want to be, or you can just be someone that likes to focus on one little corner of the map. Either way, the mod does allow for all types of players, which is one nice thing about having a kind of a PvE mod, is that you don't have to be ultra competitive, high skilled player. You can tune the AI for whatever difficulty your little squad finds appropriate. And quite a few bombers here. Let's see what they're going to do. Some tactical bombers mixed in there, and another drop flying over. Don't know exactly where that's going, but I do have some air defense here in the middle. I will take out one transport, two transports before they can even drop their payload, and then the third one does drop, but by then it feels as though I have most of the damage has already been done. But as I mentioned before, the AI putting a lot of pressure on this bottom right base, and that is, excuse me, that's specifically because the AI does scout with either these ground-based land scouts or with air scouts, and if they find positions of weakness in your base, they will focus those areas with their units. So the AI, in this case, has found that Yellow's base was not very well defended because he's spent all his resources defending the middle here, all of his energy and all of his mental capacity, we'll say that, and resources, focusing on the middle of the map to the exclusion of the bottom right of the map where he started. And the AI has smelled blood in the water. It has sensed his weakness, and it is now taking advantage of it. Of course, I'm, at this point, telling Yellow, the Yellow player, please, or can you please defend your base? And I was like, is it really that hard to micro two things at once? And he said, well, if you're such a micro god, why don't you defend it? Why don't you make a base there and protect it yourself? And so my response was, well, that's exactly what I'm going to do. So now I'm going to be controlling 4 bases, technically. My starting base, this expansion base to the right, Yellow's main base, and of course, I have a base up here in the middle as well. So 4 bases worth of things to worry about. As I said, you can kind of tax yourself mentally as little or as much as you want, depending on how much pain you like to, how much pressure you like to put on yourself, and also, what kind of player you are. That is one very fun thing about this mod. You really, all types of players and playstyles are encouraged. The mod developer has told me that he wants the mod to allow for as many types of playstyles as possible. But here in the middle, I have upgraded my commander a little bit, but not for combat purposes. As you can see, he's already dying really quickly. Gonna move him out of there. Move my units into the fray. And I am now on T3 as well. So the AI shouldn't stand much of a chance. Now white has built a... he has taken over this whole left pond, which is exactly what you want to do if you play this map. You really need to take those middle positions, those 3 positions on the left, center, and right as best you can. Letting the AI get one side can be quite devastating, as we shall see. And yeah, for now our team is doing a good job. Of course, yellow has lost his base, but I have sent some forces. As I said, I do like to do more of a mobile defensive style, so I have sent a lot of my minions here to do my bidding, to hold this right side. We are aggressively posturing for this position. The AI still fighting for it, and trust me, if the AI can get a foothold here, it will. If it can get a base here and start building factories and structures and defenses, it will absolutely do that. So I am fighting my little heart out to prevent that from happening as well. I would like this to be my base, but as of now, this is the least defended of our 4 starting areas. So now, as you can see, even though we have a hold of the middle and the left side, we haven't put a ton of pressure on the AI in the top part of the map yet. I do have some roving bands of units here, but at this point we don't have enough to really make a serious push into one of their starting bases. So right now we are just doing it is just kind of a game of building up forces and posturing for areas of the map. So having said that, I will speed it up and get to the juicy parts. There are laws in any Forged Alliance game. There are times where both sides are just building, kind of massing up their forces and preparing for an assault. But here I have units now, some engineers taking this bottom left base, starting construction on a shield mass and some very minuscule defenses to try to get a foothold on this area. And the AI with some dropships. This is a T3 dropship, very beefy and very hard to kill. And we'll have to see what he wants to do with this. Just going to drop it right here, no doubt to target that mass extractor. But do we have enough? Now he does have some T3 units in there. So that is a very beefy drop. And oh, now bringing some more dropships in. Holy cow. A 3rd dropship. Now guys, I have mentioned before, T3 units in this mod are kind of like T3 units in Escalation or Bar. They're much stronger than T1 and even T2. So mostly what I have over here are T2 units. White has almost no units down here. He's got some T1. But this is what we call when we play a Doom Drop. The AI does love their Doom Drops. If it senses a nice location for a Doom Drop, it will absolutely take advantage of that vulnerability, and it will drop on you. And let's see. So it has some, I think these are called, is it Thou battery or Tau battery? Anyway, this is a Seraphim T3 unit that just shoots out a mass number of shells. They may not be super accurate, but they just kind of cover a whole area and a lot of fire. And very good for clumps of units and for static defenses, which obviously can't really dodge the shells. They have some advanced battle bots. We have some hover tanks, T1 medium tanks, assault bots, The kitchen sink here, guys, that is a lot of units, and I am desperately moving units over from the east side to defend this. Now you can kind of see the weakness of having more of a mobile force, as I do. Like I like to use like more of a mobile, defend my base, you know, roving bands of units. The disadvantage to that is that if their mobile force is stronger than yours, you just lose. That's all there is to it, right? Defenses for their cost are very efficient, right? So if I had invested all of the resources into these units, into defenses, then I might be able to hold this off. But because they have a lot of T3 stuff, I've only got T1 and T2. Their mobile force is quite a bit stronger than mine, and as a result, you can see they're just chewing through my units as if they are made of butter or paper, or, you know, choose your analogy. Now white is doing me a solid here. He has brought in some gunships. These broadswords are expensive, but they are absolutely devastating. And luckily the AI has no air defense in this army. So at this point my ground units are more or less just cannon fodder, trying to keep the AI busy long enough for white to bring in his air, his gunships, and help me out of this tough situation. This is one of the most fun things about Loud, is the teamwork aspect. You have to work with your teammates. You just can't do it on your own. The AI will throw too many threats at you and come at you in too many ways that by yourself, at least if the difficulty is tuned right, it will become nearly impossible to defend. But with your teammates contributing, chipping in how they can, in this case bringing in a couple gunships, we will eventually be able to clean up this doom drop. And I thought for sure that this little area of my base was gone. I thought for sure that, yeah, that was dead. But no, one other thing the AI will do that's pretty funny, if it senses that it's losing a fight, it will literally bring a transport in to pick up the units and get the hell out of there, because it says, oh, you know, this isn't going so well. No reason to waste these units. I'm gonna pick them up, pick up the remainder of my forces, and well, theoretically leave. I don't know what it's doing now. It's going in circles. But yeah, typically the idea is it will fly in, it will pick up its units. There we go. And it will fly out of there with its remaining forces so that it doesn't just needlessly waste its guys. So you will see that quite a bit in these games. That is a very normal behavior for the AI. It doesn't like to be wasteful, and it is very, very good with gunships. So yeah, that doom drop was almost very bad, but we do manage to pull that out. We do manage to come out on top there, and nothing too devastating does occur. But in the meantime, I am upgrading my commander again. I have quite a bit of production here happening near the middle of the map. And the AI is now putting pressure on the mid. Another drop coming in here. Yeah, and the AI will drop here. But again, they don't have any air defense, so ideally those broadswords could take care of that. I have now taken over this eastern base, as I mentioned before. And here in the middle, the AI continuing to push for this. Now I have, because I made, guys, I did design this map. This was our first time playing on it. And I did design the map in such a way that the AI would put a lot of pressure on the mid and on the left and right here on these three spots. So the AI is programmed to fight for these spots. It will attempt to control those areas if it possibly can. And red with another drop, just completely relentless with these drops, trying to find those spots of weakness as it puts pressure on the mid to keep us distracted. And seems to be quite a few gunships here as well, but white does have a lot of air defense in the sea. And of course naval air defense is absolutely devastating as well, so I think he will be just fine. Of course, these are heavy gunships, and those are quite devastating as well. Of course, there's also some torpedo bombers here. So the AI definitely fighting for the sea here, and attempting to do a drop in the water, but will not make it in time. The dropship will be destroyed before he can unleash his payload, and yet another drop in the same area. The AI does sense weakness here in this spot. There is no defense there, so it has decided that that is a good place to put some units down. And most of my mobile forces were destroyed in that last engagement, so as you can see, that is going to be a huge problem. I am now building a Monkey Lord. Yellow has built a hover tank. So guys, we will see what happens here, but yeah, I'm just going to speed the game up a little bit. Let's go ahead and take a look at their bases. They are building experimental heavy bomber here, an experimental aircraft carrier, or we like to call these the flying saucer, the Tsar, something from Independence Day or what have you. Now we do have quite a bit of air defense here in the middle, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem. But again, red with another deadly attack, and it looks like he has dropped off even more units. So the AI once again finding those vulnerable points, the areas of weakness, and exploiting them to the fullest with those drops. And while our attention focused on mid, I now have a Monkey Lord in the fray. Red is pushing there, and I just, with T2 units, I don't know if I can even stop this. I believe I do ask for help from white again to defend that part of the map. So yeah, once again, the AI being absolutely devious with its finding those vulnerable points where I am literally defending 4 bases, or trying to micro 4 bases at once. It is hard to spread out my resources efficiently, and as you can see, I'm just kind of sending my T2 units into the meat grinder here. They really just don't stand a chance against these much stronger T3 threats. But once again, white has brought in the broadswords to assist me and to clean up this drop so that I can retain control of that part of the map. And yeah, white building more air defense here as well. Poseidon, a T3 heavy support cruiser. That is cool looking. I don't know if I've ever actually seen this unit before, or I haven't been paying attention, but that is a very cool looking ship. A lot of the ships here look really cool. So, guys, these drops are brutal, but we are doing what we can to hold on to what we've got. You know, one might even say that we're halfway there. But this flying saucer is almost done. And now one thing I want to show you is that my teammate has built an experimental shield generator. And this shield generator is not a normal shield generator. It actually has these drones which patrol in an area around the shield generator to create a massive area of effective shielding. It's very cool. It costs 8,000 or almost 9,000 energy per second to operate, but it is the next level of protection. The Durex shield generator. It's unbelievably strong. way to defend yourself. Now, guys, as I was focusing on other areas of the map, I did attempt a bit of a push up to the middle with my Monkey Lord, and I'm sorry I wasn't watching that. But we might go ahead and turn on a mini map. Could help the viewers and me keep track of what's going on with everything. But either way, let's see what's going on here. The AI does have this experimental aircraft carrier, and it is now moving it towards the center. And White has enough gunships now that we are dealing with this. As you can see, there isn't enough anti-air in these armies to really stop this. And yeah. But the AI does have anti-air, but a lot of it is flying. The mobile anti-air, but it is now bringing this aircraft carrier into the center of the map. And we have quite a bit of air defense, but the thing about these aircraft carriers is they do a ton of damage. And already you can see that beam moving down. Slow down the game a little bit so we can watch this. Watch the destruction in slow motion. So there are a lot of shields here, but guys, that beam will kill the shields very quickly. It is extremely powerful experimental. And as it turns out, it's going straight for my commander. We did not notice this until it was right on top of me. And you can see those shields are going down very rapidly. Once I realize it's on my commander, I begin to run into the middle towards the shields. But as you can see, it's looking pretty bad. My commander is now below half health. And the shields are moving in towards the commander. So this is extremely close. It's kind of like it's a survival battle between the shields and this incredibly powerful beam weapon coming down from the saucer. And it's so close, guys. My commander now at about a third HP. But the problem is that even if we kill this saucer, it will drop on my commander. Oh god. And the fall damage could be enough. Boom. Guys, it gets my commander down to 2,000 health. Look at that. Just a sliver of health. Barely survives. I mean, that was an incredible gambit from the AI, and it didn't end up working. But you can just imagine how I was feeling in that moment. Just the actual stress of that, and the relief when my commander lives with just a sliver of health. That was an absolutely incredible moment. I can't believe that that he survived that. We really had the best kind of air defense to have against saucers, of course, is flying air defense, or these T4 AA guns, which I am now going to build just in case something like that happens again, just in case the AI decides to do another sneaky attack like that. But as you can see, White now has a ton of air defense patrolling the shore here, so that should prevent the AI from being able to bomb his base on the left side. But again, on the right side, the AI has complete control of the sea, which is not good for us. And let's see what else it's doing in its base. Let's see. Nothing too big to report there. Here in the middle, bringing some drops, but of course we have a lot more air defense now after that happened. Yellow here with this heavy hover tank, an ultra heavy artillery support bot, and with these in the mix, it will be hard for the AI to do a push on our center base. So if you, a lot of times you can tell how well your team is doing in these games by simply looking at the score. If you look at our score right now, it is about 200 or 2 million. Their score is about 2.75 million. So we are keeping up, like I said. If the AI is doubling your score, that's bad, but it's still doable. If the AI goes above double your score, if it like triples your score, or you're getting into unwinnable territory there. So at this point, I'd say we are behind, but we are definitely still in the game, and we can definitely still win. The AI will almost always be ahead of you in score. If you're ahead of the AI in score for most of the game or for a significant part of the game, you probably don't have the difficulty high enough. You generally want the AI to be higher score than you. That's just a sign that the game is playing out correctly. But the AI also has these T3 artillery installations now shelling the mid. Of course, the T3 artillery installations are they are quite expensive, but they're a bit like Big Berthas in the in OTA, or like Dictators in Escalation. They are basically screen-wide artillery. Of course, we have a ton of shields here in the center, but the question is whether it will be enough. Once the AI has enough T3 artillery weapons, it will overwhelm your shielding. And the AI with a look to be mobile force here, kind of a mobile attack, amphibious hover tanks. And White has given me some gunships to fly in here and take care of this this force. Again, they haven't been building a lot of air defense in these attacks, so air seems to be the Achilles heel to defending those. And yeah, with these broadswords, should be more than enough to deal with that. But Red with another drop, flying in here. But White just so happens to have quite a bit of T3 rapid light assault tanks. At least have 4 cannons. Pretty impressive. And missiles to boot. So yeah, those seem pretty powerful. They don't have the most health, but just in terms of overwhelming your opponent with firepower, perhaps these are very efficient. And either way, that force will be cleaned up, as White was ready for that attack. So yeah, GG on that. And let's go back to the mid. Now, Yellow and I here in the middle, our goal was to build up a massive attack force of experimentals, especially artillery experimentals. And once we had a large enough force of experimentals to go for a killing blow on one of the AI bases. But as you can see, these AI bases are very well defended. Tons of point defense, tons of artillery, lots of shielding, lots of roving bands of units. We've got air defense, bombers, and gunships, and all manner of nastiness. So it is not so easy to crack an AI base as designed, so we are going to need quite a massive force of units here in the center, just pushing back the tide. But again, we're all building artillery units. white with a Fat Boy, yellow with these experimental ultra heavy artillery support bots that are specifically designed for that long range firepower, cracking bases and taking out clumps of units, as you can see here. Perfectly designed for this situation where the units are all clumped up, and that will force them back. And here in the front I have a Monkey Lord that will quite easily kill all of those T3 mobile artillery units. Guys, in the loud mod, especially once you have all the add-ons enabled, there are a ton of units to choose from. Of course, you don't have to play with those. You can basically just play with the base game units. It is totally up to you how many units you want, how many unit mods you want to turn on. But we like playing with them all on because it gives you a lot of, well, as you can see, there's a lot of really cool units to play with, while keeping the original units fun and relevant. Of course, the Monkey Lord is still strong as always here, and it will absolutely walk over these Harbingers, no problem. So, it is really cool, all the extra units and experimentals that Loud does add to the game, but adding those is completely optional. But I will say, giving yourself access to all those experimentals also gives the AI access to the experimentals. I mean, the new units and new experimentals. And you may regret that because the AI can use them extremely efficiently, and it gives them a lot more threats to work with as well. So now I have 2 Monkey Lords here and a Fat Boy. And if you guys have ever played Forge Alliance, you know that two Monkey Lords and a Fat Boy is nothing to scoff at. Some transports flying over, but those will be quickly demolished. And these Monkey Lords now getting into their main weapon range and simply wiping out that force in rapid fashion. So again, we're gonna speed the game up here. We are now in the experimental phase, so things are definitely heating up and starting to get very, very spicy indeed. We have another battle for the mid. Again, I still have this Fat Boy, some Dervishes, and of course 2 Monkey Lords limping into combat as they do, attempting to walk over these units with these powerful legs and just crush them under the might. The massive weight of the Monkey Lords. Now this one lives with a sliver of health, and I do decide to send that one back to my base simply because, you know, save them if you can, repair them, bring them back to fight another day. Units do get veterancy in Forge Alliance, so it is worth repairing units, especially experimentals. If you can continue to rack up veterancy, they will get stronger, they will get more health and regeneration. So that is a nice bonus. Now building a megalith, which is the one of the Cybran artillery units. And even though we've killed, you've seen all the groups of units I've killed so far, the AI just pumping them out like absolute mad lads. Not to be deterred, but we do have quite a few experimentals now of our own. And that is going to make it tough for them to make any pushes on the middle base, though they will continue to try. But these heavy hover tanks, nothing to scoff at. And that may make the AI think twice about sending more stuff at the middle. But again, let's see what else is going on. Now, at some point, see if I can find it. Building another saucer, it seems. Yeah, let's go ahead and speed it up a little bit. Right now, both Yellow and I just massing up experimentals again for that deadly assault on one of their bases. We feel as though once we have enough experimentals, especially these long-range artillery types, that we will be able to, quite frankly, move up to one of their bases and kill them. Or at least do massive damage to the AI. That is the goal here. In the meantime, we are simply just trying to defend the middle. But the AI has a ton of T3 artillery. Hovercraft, I guess these are. I guess they're not hovercraft, they're just T3 mobile artillery tanks. But with all these experimentals, we should still have no problem cleaning those up. And we are now gearing up for that powerful late game attack that I mentioned earlier. If you look at our forces here, Yellow has 3 artillery support bots and 2 experimental heavy hover tanks. I've got Fat Boy, 2 megaliths, and a Monkey Lord. And I do believe White gives me this Wyvern to bring to the front as well, so we have a metric ton of artillery units. And we believe at this point that we have enough to break the base. I've done a pretty good job, or White and I have done a pretty good job now of defending this bottom area, just building enough defenses and mobile forces to keep this area secure from all the drops. So again, we are now ready for Doomsday. We are doing that epic push to the top left. And will it be enough? Do we have enough with this many experimentals? 2 megaliths, a Wyvern, which is kind of like a... the Fat Boy is a factory. This is a more specialized artillery Fat Boy. Actually, a third megalith. Third megalith, basically 2 Fat Boys, Monkey Lord, 2 experimental heavy hover tanks, 4 ultra heavy artillery support bots, and the kitchen sink. I mean, surely this is enough. That's what we're thinking. Surely with all of this, we can break the base. This is just too much for the AI to stop, right? There's just way too much here. It's just so many experimentals. How many is this? Like 12 experimentals? Something like that? About a dozen. Most of them being artillery type. Specifically designed to break bases. In the meantime, Red doing a drop down here. But I do think I have enough. I'm going to focus on this, on the battle in the middle though. As this is something of a work of art. Thing of beauty. I've got quite a bit of anti-air as well for these pesky gunships and bombers that will attempt to stop this. And the AI, noticing this is there, bringing some forces over to try to stop it, but we are very well defended, I'd say. Okay, so the game didn't tell me. I didn't get a notification, which is a little frustrating. But what happened was the AI had built a nuke. We didn't notice that the AI had built a nuke. Let me see if I can find it. So the AI has built a nuke somewhere. in one of these bases. There's just so much stuff, it's hard to even locate it, but I think it's in this top right base. The AI built a nuke and launched it into the center of all of our experimentals because we definitely had enough to just kill him. So he built a nuke and just, I don't know why the game didn't notify me that it launched, but shoot, I wish I could find it though. I wish I could find where he built this nuke at. But anyways, wherever it is, he nuked in the center of all our experimentals. He took out several of them and split our forces in half. So now these two hover tanks, they're going to die because they got split off. He killed several key experimentals here, so he kind of cut our force in half with that nuke. And I wish I could find it. I wish I knew where the nuke was. It is kind of hard to see just with all this stuff, but yeah, but we did decide, even after that nuke hit, to push on, and we are still going to make an attempt to break this top left base, which is Red's starting base. But yeah, that nuke definitely took the wind out of our sails here, and that is going to make the game quite a bit harder. It's going to make it quite a bit harder on us to push forward in light of losing half our experimentals to a well-placed nuke. That is just one of the very devious things the AI will do, and we do decide to pull back here and kind of regroup our forces for another push. So yeah, that push got unceremoniously ended with a nuke. And we are now going to attempt push number 2 into the enemy base. We're now moving our forces back there to try again. But as you can see, that is just one of the many devious things the AI will do to try to stop you. And we just were not ready for a nuke just landing in the middle of our experimentals and stopping us in our tracks the way it did. So guys, let's get ready for push number 2, and hopefully this time it will go a little bit better. Now guys, I did find the nuke, or at least a nuke. Here have a T3 strategic missile launcher. So that was probably where the nuke was sent from, though I can't be certain. They could have another one. But it does look like they're about 2/3 of the way of building another one. And here we are with this push, a second push. We've regrouped our forces, and we are ready for round 2 of the madness. I will try to keep a closer eye on the nuke this time so that I don't miss it going off. It is almost done. It is almost complete with another nuclear weapon, and these 2 Monkey Lords specifically designed to protect the artillery of these 2 forces and trying to keep them at max laser range, as this is quite a formidable army of T3 units. We also have a Blood Asp assault mech moving in as well. Looks like something straight out of Mech Warrior, to be honest. But yeah, I will say our first assault seemed a lot more impressive than this. Though this is still quite a few experimentals. Looks to be about 10 or maybe a dozen. But the AI has redoubled its forces here and is moving everything it can in to stop us, as well as an experimental, a Euthotha, a chicken, as I've called it in previous casts. So it is pulling out all the stops to try to defend us. or to defend their base from our second experimental push. The first one, which of course was cut short by a well-placed nuke. And this Blood Asp is getting absolutely crushed with all the withering fire here. It is just falling to the might of this Thotha and all the T3 units. Where's this nuke? Okay, the nuke is almost done now. It is completed, so we'll have to see if he wants to launch that. I need to keep an eye on it this time. For some reason the game didn't alert me last time about the nuke launch, which took out half of our experimentals in that first push. Now there are mobile anti-nukes, and we probably should have included one of those, but they do take a while to build, and you have to protect them. They are just a T3 unit, and they can just get killed pretty easily, so you have to put them under a shield or just be very careful. But trying to keep an eye on this nuke, see what he wants to do with it. But as I say that, we are now moving forward with our artillery. Most of the obstacles have been pushed out of our way now. And oh, the way we're splitting our units. Yeah, he launches another nuke. So the game doesn't tell you where the nuke is going. It just tells you that the computer's launched a nuke. So we think he's going to launch it at our units again. He in fact launches it at White's base. Takes out some of his naval force. And but it does cause us to split our experimentals because we are afraid of another nuke landing on top of us. And as we already saw, that's pretty devastating. But now that we've seen that the nuke will not land in the middle of our stuff, it is go time for another attack and to try to break this top left base. Of course, Red bringing down even more stuff. This time, 4 experimentals, 2 Ythothas, and 2 experimental medium assault bots. So, really pulling out the stops to try to defend its base, and of course, Orange with some experimentals of his own over here. But this Monkey Lord moving in, of course, it's just one hit now. I think all my Monkey Lords are dead at this point. They valiantly defended my artillery forces as long as they could. And now we have these 4 experimentals here in the center. Actually, there's 5, I guess. These are smaller experimentals, but it is a war of experimentals. But we have more. And that might force him to retreat. He is going to start running away here. We just have way too much. And yeah, we will fall back as we chase him with those powerful long-range cannons away from the combat. Now, his commander is out in the front, and that will be an opportunity, because killing the commander is obviously always a really good thing. We will take out his commander. And now we are in range of his base, and we are going to attempt to do as much damage as possible, but there is a lot of defense. These 2 megaliths in the front line getting hammered from all the artillery, all the defenses in range, and of course in the back these longer range artillery support bots laying down barrages of fire, attempting to break through all the shields and hit these advanced power generators. Of course, these are volatile. If these explode, they do an AoE kind of meltdown effect. And also, once we hit enough of his power, then he can no longer defend his shields. Now, he or he could no longer power his shields. But now he has 2 experimental heavy bombers flying in to try to stop us. Of course, I have a lot of air defense here. We're doing everything we can to stop those bombers. But as you can see, the AI also doing everything he can to defend himself. And here I have a rampage. It's a kind of a light assault mech, but just trying to keep them busy on that side so that we can focus on their base. This advanced power generator getting low, and once that dies, there should be kind of an AoE effect there. As you can see, big explosion takes out a lot of the stuff around it, and we are doing everything we can to break their base here. Rampage running off. The megalith's moving in, but still getting low. There's just a ton of defense here. But we do still have these 5 experimental ultra heavy artillery bots. And in the front, I'm using my experimentals as a shield, really to tank that fire, to let Yellow's artillery be used to full effectiveness. The fat boy at about half health. 1 megalith goes down, and again we are trying to target these advanced power generators, as when those explode they will do an AoE effect and hopefully cause the AI to run out of power so that all of his shields go down. Once his shields go down, then it is kind of open season on his base. And as you can see, we've taken out a big chunk of his base already, but we are running out of experimentals here. Doing the best we can. I'm desperately attempting to defend everything as best as possible. But all my experimentals are gone. Now all we have are these experimental heavy artillery support bots. Now, one thing I want to say about these, all we have to do is, we realize we're not going to destroy this base, right? We just don't have enough. We might have had enough on our first push before it got nuked, but we just didn't. The AI countered that very well, and it's clear that we don't have enough to break this base, even though we have done a lot of damage. But I tell Yellow to focus on the experimental resource generator. As you can see at the bottom left, it says outrageously volatile. So the idea is that the experimental resource generator is it gives you a ton of resources, both mass and energy, for free. Basically, once you build it, it just gives you that for free. But when it explodes, it is like a super nuke. It will take out everything around it, basically take out half your base. So what I'm telling Yellow is focus on this. If we can take this out, the push will have been worth it. I think we will have done enough damage to Red's base to justify the amount of resources we spent in this push. He is desperately targeting it, and there it goes. And you can see this explosion is massive. It will wipe out half his base. And so with that, guys, I think that was successful. I mean, what do you think as the viewer? We took out about half of their base with that. Of course, they have other bases, but we also took out their commander. It's hard, man. Doing a push on the AI is very tough. It can be very difficult, as you can see, for a lot of different reasons. They will throw everything at you to stop it, but that was a pretty epic saga there. Yellow now pulling out with these artillery support bots. All of them. This one has 166 kills. This one with 102, 62 here. This one with 30 is probably going to die. The AI chasing them down. But that was a pretty epic sequence of events. And we did do the best we could. Gumption here with a Dragonite. Absolutely massive mech bot with a shield. This thing is nothing to be scoffed at. Monster. Absolute monster of a unit, and crushing anything in its path. Very cool looking, huge, shielded, godlike. You don't want to encounter one of these on the battlefield. So guys, The AI now rebuilding its base, no doubt going to reclaim all this metal, this free metal we gave it. It's definitely going to use that to full effect. But as I said, I feel as though we did make some progress there. Now, one thing I want to show you, we had been spending most of our attention has been at the top left. So, as far as I'm concerned, we've done a good job. We took out half of Red's base. Our base down here is pretty well defended as well. And in the middle, we've got plenty of shields, and we have some anti-nukes. So, from this point in the game, it feels like we're doing pretty good, because this is our vision, right? This is what we can see with the fog of war and everything. So I think everything's going well. We think everything's going well. It feels as though, we're in control of the game. Our scores with the AI are pretty close. We're only about, a million and a half behind them, which isn't bad, right? Because their score is like almost 8 million, and ours is 6.1 million. So everything seems to be going well. And we're like, we can do another push on the top left base, finish that off, and then we will be in a pretty good position to win this game. And then, in the midst of all that, when we think everything's going well, the AI has done a sneaky attack with 5 experimentals that walked under the sea all the way from Orange's base up here. Walked all the way down, walked on the bottom of the seafloor, all the way into my base. And we had no idea, because we didn't have any vision on this right side. So this massive force of experimentals moving in that we were not prepared for. This was an absolutely unbelievable attack that we did not predict or expect. We had no idea what was going on in the water, and a lot of that is because of the AI. I mean, like, if you try to fly scouts over, they have air defense, they have a ton of fighters and everything. So this was a completely unpredicted and unexpected attack, and these are 5 extraordinarily powerful experimentals. And like, I thought I had some defenses. I mean, I did have a lot of units over there, but compared to these 5 experimentals, they're nothing, and they are just going to take out this base as if it is nothing. So this is the AI's massive sneaky counterattack that we did not prepare for, and that we had no idea was coming. I think a stroke of genius from the AI to use it like that. I mean, they could have taken these experimentals and sent them over to stop that force that we had attacking their base. Oh, here comes another nuke. Yeah, this time the nuke is coming. Let's see where it's going. Looks like it's gonna... Okay, white does have an anti-nuke, so he will stop that nuke from hitting his base. But yeah, now the problem is orange has this death ball of experimentals that we just did not see coming, and uses them to devastating effect. Of course, Galactic Colossus, if you're familiar with just FAF or Forge Alliance, this is the Aeon. This used to be the most powerful Aeon and ground experimental. Fires a massive pulse laser or energy beam from its head, which can kill most things and almost instantly. A King Cryptors, if you're, I guess this is called a King Crafter, but anyway, it's essentially the same thing. If you are familiar with Supreme Commander 2, this was the strongest UEF experimental. 2 massive cannons on its arms, which explode in a huge AoE. It's got missiles on its back, and I believe its head has mortars. It fires mortars from its head. And then the Eliash, which we call the Technobot, it shoots an array of all different color lasers. So it has completely taken out this bottom right base, which I spent so much time attempting to protect. And now I am throwing up as much defense as I can, these experimental point defenses, to defend this area. because, guys, this is looking very grim. We just don't have enough here. Even with gunships, these units have some air defense. So gunships alone will not be enough to stop this. I'm throwing up T4 point defenses. I've got a group of units of T2 and T3 units. A white with his a Dragonite down here and some T3 units of his own, but this push just seems unstoppable. And we just were not prepared. We were focusing all of our attention on the north side of the map, and now it is coming to wreck us. That Dragonite moving in. And the AI smartly, I think, walking out of range of the T4 point defense. Attempting to fight in a more advantageous location here. Moving in all of these T3 units as well to join into the combat. I believe once the AI gets out of range of these T4 point defense, it will turn around and fight us. But as you can see, we do have quite a bit of stuff. We will take out the Two Galactic Colossus pretty quickly. But they've got even more experimentals that have just made landfall. And retreating to regroup with those experimentals. Now, as you can see, these two experimentals are, they're retreating. But he still has two more Galactic Colossus and this Eliash. And a hell of a lot of bombers flying in. The AI was just overwhelming us with threats here. All these experimentals that seem to come out of nowhere. These bombers hammering, absolutely hammering this base. They're basically small nukes or tactical nukes. And I do have quite a few T4 point defense here, but they are kind of staying out of range. They are in range of this one now. And bombers continuing to put pressure. I think we killed most of those though. But yeah, moving back in with those Galactic Colossus. Dragonite worth its weight in gold, but now even it is starting to fall. And as those GCs begin to target it with their head lasers of death, it will also fall in the Technobot, as we call it, in the back. But with this Wyvern and these T4 point defenses, ultimately, we will stop this attack. Just barely, but more bombers flying in. You can see, man, the AI just relentless with all of its different forms of aggression. Taking out that T4 geothermal. And their score now is starting to jump even higher. They are now at, let's see, 9.25 million to our 7.5 million. I believe, if I'm reading that correctly. So, yeah, these two experimentals do retreat for now, but the problem is they have so much T3 artillery now. Let's see, 1, 2, 3 in this base. 4, I think that's 5. Oh no, that's barrage artillery. It's a little bit different, but 3 in this base. There's definitely some in this base as well. And even our mid now is starting to get pounded. And you can see this bottom right base has been destroyed. They're continuing to send gunships to this, and now hitting this base with artillery from all the way across the map. I don't know if you can see that. These artillery shells are starting to bombard this base now that all the shields are down. I'm desperately trying to throw up shields. But just relentless pressure by the AI, and we decide we're going to try another push. After our last push, which like I said was pretty successful, we didn't kill them, but we took out about half their base. And we will try for yet another push onto the AI if we can. But guys, it's not looking too good now. It is, things are getting tougher and tougher. Our shields are starting to collapse, as you can see. All this artillery pressure raining down. And even though we have quite a few shields here, these shields are not cheap. They cost quite a bit of energy to run. So don't think that shields are just free defense. Another nuke, the AI. Nukes are approaching experimental force and takes out one of my basilisks. Now the basilisk is an extremely expensive experimental for the Cybran. So he just nuked that out of existence. Definitely cutting down the power of our force here. And white does bring in these two experimental gunships called aerial fortresses, but white is doing what he can to defend our middle base while we go for another desperate push at their base, at one of their main bases here. Let's see how many experimentals we have this time. We'll do 6 experimentals, 6 ultra heavy artillery support bots, a basilisk, and experimental heavy Arthrobot. Now this was the first game we had ever built one of these, and I will say this is a cool little thing, man. This Arthrobot, its little tail wagging, very interesting. Yeah, if I had had that second Basilisk, the first one getting taken out there by a nuke was definitely a problem. For the next game, we're definitely going to have to think about bringing mobile anti-nukes. The problem is that the mobile anti-nukes are just a T3 unit, so they could get killed by a stray artillery shell. You have to defend them. You really have to defend them well. Keep them under shields so that the AI can't just kill them and then nuke you anyway. It's, yeah, there's a lot of things to worry about. There's a lot of threats the AI can throw at you. But again, this base is now gone. Desperately trying to hold on to this base. And in the middle, which I said is under a ton of artillery pressure. White with his gunships attempting to defend the front of our base. And we are now doing yet another push on this right base now. Arthrobot moving in to the middle of this base. Take a picture of that. And that will explode in a huge AoE. But yeah, now I'm putting the Basilisk up front. And these 5 artillery bots as well. Also a Wyvern in the back. But is there just too much defense? We did take out the front there. But this Basilisk is falling very quickly. And we are attempting to do as much damage as we can. But I just don't think we have enough. The AI has just become too powerful. It is just too strong to deal with. There is just too many threats. And yeah, those experimental ultra heavy artillery support bots falling rapidly. This time, we're not even able to crack the base in the same way. We definitely did better over here at the left base, for sure. But in our attempt to kill the right base, we just did not have enough firepower, so that is quite sad as our forces do fall by the wayside. All that is left is just this Wyvern. And with that, Yellow gives up. Yellow kind of seeing the writing on the wall, realizing that the AI is probably just going to slowly kill us. Now we could have stayed in the game. We could have kept playing for sure, dragged it out some more. But as it is, that final push that failed, I don't know if we could have come back from that, because the AI was just going to keep shelling us with this massive artillery map-wide range, and then you know, they had experimental bombers, flying saucers, nukes that it was, I'm sure, going to start sending out. Probably more experimental pushes, and I think we were just on the verge of collapsing, and so we did call the game. Guys, that was awesome. It was a lot of fun to play, and I hope you enjoyed watching it. That is how a loud game does sometimes go. We do win occasionally. Of course, we played on a pretty high difficulty. We played on 1.3. Now, this map turned out really well. Again, I designed this map. This was the first time we ever played it, so I had no idea what it would be like, but I felt like it led to some really interesting and fun gameplay. I hope you guys enjoyed watching it. And I will say that for the next game, my next cast will be an escalation 1v1 cast, so guys, keep a lookout for that. And I will... yeah, if you guys are interested in playing the Loud mod, you just need a copy of Forge Alliance on Steam, which I think during the summer sale is just a couple dollars. And then the Loud mod I will put in the description below. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. I do appreciate the support, and I will catch you in the next cast.